right, everybody, welcome in. Like I said, thank y'all for joining. I really appreciate you being here. Some first-time faces. I'm so excited to see the new people joining in on the call today. So thank you. This Zoom call is called Tap Into Your G, and the G is gratitude, emotion, and elevation, which is representative of my brand, Raise Your Energy. So I've been having these calls maybe about 2 months now, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes I take a break depending on, what life is doing or, certain holidays or whatsoever. And every week we have a different topic, but it usually falls in line with gratitude, emotion, or elevation. And so today, we're going back to the emotion topic. We talked about last week. So some of you were here last week. And you know that we talked about emotions as like an internal GPS, right? So we explored the idea that emotions aren't the problem, they're actually feedback. They're signals, they're information. So just like the GPS in your car, it lets you know when you're on the right route or when it's time to recalculate. So our emotions do the same thing by helping us recognize whether our thoughts are leading us toward the life we want to create or away from it. So I want to continue to build on that conversation because understanding emotions is one thing, but learning to trust what they're trying to tell you, that's something entirely different. So before we dive in, I know we had a challenge last week of thinking about emotions as they came up. So if you could just think back to, even if you weren't here last week for the challenge, think about this past week, right? And just think if you had anything that kind of made you like, whoo, you know, it could have been something you were excited about or frustrated. Maybe you felt rejected or grateful. Um, but maybe it just was as simple as it didn't feel right. Something didn't feel like yourself, it was just off. So, does anybody that's here want to share any strong emotion that really stood out to them over the past week? And there's no pressure as always.
Who I'll share because I had a strong emotion today at church, and I
Mm.
really had to be like, Lord, give me some strength. So I was called to lead the choir as the lead musician went out of town. She went on a trip and she plays the keyboard, which I don't. I'm learning how to play, but I'm not all the way there yet. So I had to do everything by Bluetooth and by audio and whatnot. And some of the choir members, it was, small whispers when we did rehearsal on this past Wednesday, was just like, why did she pick her and why is she doing it? And she
Oh.
don't play the keyboard and, that sort of thing. And so today when I was in church, as the service was going on and everything was going perfect, but just the looks and the just the energy. I just, I felt an energy of why was it her and not me, or that sort of thing, when everybody had equal opportunity to step up and take the part on. Anybody could have did it. Anybody can press play on a Bluetooth, but because I'm getting ready to step into that role of being the next choir director, it was just, oh, this, that, and the third. So I my emotions was really strong during church, and when I got home, I felt myself still holding a little grudge from what happened. So I had to like really sit down and just tap into me and pray to get that off of me, because I knew that if I did not, when I went back to choir rehearsal, I was gonna let them have it, or it might have even went before choir rehearsal. It was gonna come out because I just couldn't understand like what was the energy when anybody could have did it. And if my thing is, if you in the church, you're not just there to be a sitting duck. You there to serve. It's a community.
Right.
So if somebody steps up to serve, don't get mad at that person. If anything, help them. Give your suggestions, or try to help that person. But because where I'm at, a lot of people are just stuck in their ways and they used to that old way. That emotion was really strong, and I'm still dealing with it. I prayed about it, and as I'm talking about it now, I realize that even though I prayed about it, it still ain't off me yet. I still feel away.
So
So
did hey,
you say
so are
hey,
you
right
hey?
now.
I
Hey, the
can't
kids
believe
be
how big he is. Oh my God. I
right,
literally remember when he was in your belly. That's crazy.
right.
Like now he a whole human. But so you felt upset. Did you feel judged? Did you feel what kind of was the emotion that you experienced with the church?
It was. I felt yeah, I felt judged and I felt envy. Like I felt a enviness. Like it was just heavy. It was really heavy. It wasn't like necessarily like I hate her, but it was just like I hate that she was the one that was called to do this.
Mm, that's heavy. That is heavy because now it's like, why y'all looking, like you said, anybody could
Right.
have
Like
volunteered
anybody
to
could have
do it. It wasn't like
anybody.
you were getting special treatment. But I'm
Right.
glad you took
Right.
time to tap in instead of lashing out first, or going to the group chat, the church group text.
Be quiet, boy. Yeah, right, right.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else want to share anything?
Yeah. So I had just really went back to work from my car accident, being in the car accident. So being out of work for like 2 weeks, I enjoyed it. 2.5 weeks, I enjoyed it. I went back to work this week, and it was like, man, some of these managers forgot who I was.
Wait, what does that mean? Forgot who you were. Who are
Hey,
you?
man, I'm
Help us.
lead. Like, hey, but nah, it was just since I've been gone, like I do my job well. So I get depended on a lot.
Mm.
So, me being gone, and when I came back, it was like, oh, hey, you back now? We don't even care if you ain't at 100%. You got to be at 100%. Like, hold on now.
Well, you came back. They needed you. So what was your emotion that was the result of you taking a break and coming back?
My emotion, I felt a little angry,
Mm.
because, there was no grace period. There was no letting me ease back into it because,
The easing back into it was when you were still at home. They like you came back, so you're back.
yeah, but hey, you gotta remember, my mind being gone for 2.5 weeks, my thoughts wasn't had nothing to do
Mentally,
with
you
no
wasn't
work.
back. Yeah.
So I had to get back in the tune of getting back into fixing on the machines, even teaching folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, new problems and stuff was coming up while I was gone, and they expect me to know the answers to these new issues. And I'm like, hey, I got to work through them because, I've been gone. So it's like the frustration of their expectations at the
Mm,
moment. It made me angry because I'm like, hey, you still got what, 17 other mechanics around here?
mm.
Why you give me my time? But nah, they didn't want to give me that. So, all week, because I worked even on the holiday, and I worked 12-hour shifts. So all week I was on go.
Angry. Did the anger last? Did it like flow into the whole
Uh,
week, or did you get over it quickly?
nah, that first day out, hey, like I said, the way they were talking, nah, but by the second day I was cool. I was more relaxed because I was, you know, my mindset had flipped. Oh, I'm back at work. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Fix It. So, I got to go and do my job to the best of my ability. So my ability started rising more because, again, my flow had changed. So even, as the week progressed, they backed off once they seen, I was back in tune.
Angry man was back.
Nah,
Okay, well,
no.
hopefully we can calm down the anger, use it as a messenger, like we know that emotions are. I appreciate y'all sharing. And one thing that I can say that we all definitely have in common, regardless if we've ever met, is that emotions show up every single day. Sometimes they're big, sometimes small, sometimes they only last for a moment, and sometimes they seem to linger on and on and on. But this week, I found myself asking myself a question that I hadn't thought about before. So, like I said, last week we talked about emotions being our internal GPS, right? But if they really are an internal GPS, how do you know when you can trust those emotions, right? Because not every emotion is asking you to do the same thing. Sometimes an emotion is encouraging you to take an action. Sometimes it's telling you to take a breath and just pause. Sometimes, and I think that like the examples we got today with Paige and Lee, those emotions I think gave y'all an opportunity to take a pause and just think about it instead of snapping in the moment, throwing a drumstick across the church, or hauling some machinery at somebody. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes emotions are actually just helping you recognize that something is out of alignment. Other times it could be revealing that there's a thought that you keep having over and over, like I talked about last week, those repeated thoughts that no longer serve you, so they need to be replaced. So, a question I'd have us think about tonight is how do you know if an emotion is asking you to take action or is inviting you to change your thinking? How do you know if an emotion is asking you to take action or if it's just asking you to look at what it is that you're thinking about? So I added that to the chat in case you want to ponder on that. So I think that learning the answer to that question can change the way you make decisions, the way you respond to challenges, and ultimately the life that you're creating. So something powerful that I came up with or, just pondered is that every emotion deserves your attention, but not every emotion deserves your obedience. Every emotion deserves your attention, but not every emotion deserves your obedience. So, for example, if you're angry, like in the case of the examples that we got from the people on the call today, pause before you send the text, and cuss out the group members in the church. You know what I'm saying? Pause before making a phone call. Pause before posting something on social media. You always can tell when something is emotion based when you see somebody post some business that you like, now why in the hell would you put that on Facebook? Some people that might be on this call really have an aversion to Facebook, like I hate Facebook, but it's not Facebook, it's the people that are actually deciding to post all their business. Hey Shonda, on
Hey,
Facebook.
baby.
Welcome back, it's so good
Thank
to see you.
you too.
I love that background.
You do? I forgot I had put that up there. Look, I'm out here in this digital world. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm swimming my way through.
You
I'm
doing great.
finding my way through.
I see you out there, you doing great.
You look good. Your smile is beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Shonda.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, we talking about emotion, Shonda, and how to determine what the emotion, what kind of message is trying to get to you, right?
Yes.
So when you're angry, you don't want to make a decision that you're gonna end up living with later. There's something that you
Right.
didn't want to do that you can't take back. So your emotion got your attention. Now you need to give your wisdom a chance to catch up
Yeah. Yeah.
because your
You need to
emotions
think
are,
about it.
yeah, you for sure need to take a minute and pause. That's why I keep saying pause.
Yeah.
Your emotions are excellent messengers, but you are the one who decides what to do with that message. You know how people say, don't shoot the messenger. The emotions are just the messenger. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Emotion is just a messenger.
Yeah, it is the messenger, It's just like, hey, something's off.
Yeah.
Something's good, something's bad. You need to think about what you're thinking about, if that makes sense.
Oh,
So it's one thing to understand emotions as feedback, but it's another thing to recognize them when you're actually living through that experience of that emotion, right? So when your emotions show up, they're not like sending you a text like, hey, I'm pissed off. I'm ready to teach you something. No, it's not
right.
that. It shows up as that frustration, confusion, annoyance, restlessness, or just the quiet feeling, like I was saying earlier, like where something is just off. It's not right. So this week in my own life, I had an opportunity. I'm like, you out here handing out challenges. I gave myself a challenge to practice what we talked about on Sunday. So right now, I'm 50 something years old. At this stage in my life, dating is not a priority at all, right?
At all.
My time, you like, period. So it's like my time is valuable because right now I'm building something. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And that's
Yes.
that's where my focus is. And I know a lot of y'all can relate to that. Like when you're a
Yes.
creative or an entrepreneur, like you don't have time for the distractions of the
And you don't
outside.
even realize that until you see that you own to something.
Yes.
When
And
you
then
understand
somebody,
that your time is valuable. I'm right there too. Like,
It's
I'm not
crazy.
letting nothing shake me from this right here.
You can't. It's too easy to get distracted, right? Um, but as I was, in my work mode, I was like, you know what? Maybe it wouldn't be bad to have a little bit of balance,
Yeah.
Balance. Who says
You
dating
do.
is
You need
balance?
it. You need it.
Okay, well, whatever. I didn't need it, right? So it was only like a couple weeks. I started kind of getting to know somebody. But I swear to God, it didn't take probably about 2 days before my emotions really started getting my attention, right? There was like communication gaps and like little just bullshit that I was like, I don't have to, I was frustrated. And then and it was only a handful of times, but just hanging out with this person, all I'm thinking about is what I could be creating. What we gonna talk about on the next Zoom? What's my next social media post?
Yeah.
Or just
Yes.
catching up on me. Like, I'm not even thinking about none of this. I don't want to watch this dumb movie. I don't want to, you know what I mean? It just wasn't, I wanted to be creating, right? I wanted to just be building. So the more I reflected, the more I realized that he had nothing to do with my frustration. It was me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was the one talking myself into saying yes, even when my emotions were quietly, probably not so quietly, saying hell no, right?
Right.
So,
What's that song?
at one point, to be nice now, Shonda. Let me see. You look like you over there going off on somebody.
No, my
She's
no,
snapping.
no, no,
So,
no.
at one point, I remember I just thought like, what the hell am I even doing here? Like, why are you here? There's that song, Oh, here. Y'all might know that song. Like, what am I doing here? Like, these people, this place is not even me. I need to be somewhere else. And it wasn't because the person was a bad person. But it's because I wasn't being true to myself, right? So I had to stop asking what's wrong with this situation or this person because I was having those frustrated emotions and those aggravated emotions. I needed to ask myself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? And the answer, it was simple. Like,
Ooh.
this season of my life, I want to be energized, and creativity energizes me.
Yeah.
Building this Zoom community energizes me. Working
Right.
towards my vision energizes me.
Exactly.
Yeah, so my emotions was just reminding me to honor what's energizing you. So sometimes your emotions aren't telling you that somebody else is wrong. Sometimes they're reminding you that you stop being true to yourself. So, have anybody on the call that cares to share ever had an experience that helped you realize something that you didn't want? Maybe it was a job, a friendship, a relationship, a habit, or even like maybe an opportunity. You know, how people be like, we look good on paper, but nah, the paper, let that paper burn because this is not the right situation. You know what I'm saying? So if you have an example of that, and you can think of it like, what did that experience teach you about yourself? You know, were you choosing? Because for me, I know with that situation, it's kind of like people pleaser, and over my life, people have told me at times, like, you're mean or your mouth is reckless. And so I really want to work on that stuff. But then I'm like, am I mean because I'm being true to myself or because I'm saying, no, I don't want to do something that you want to do? Is that really mean or is that honoring who I am? So sometimes life gives us clarity by showing us exactly what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it shows us what no longer fits. So that's not failure, that's just feedback. So if we take it a step further, I have another question. How do we know if an emotion is asking us to make a change or if it's simply asking us to change our thinking? Right? Is it a physical change or a change that you need to make in your way of thinking? How do you
Hmm.
know if an emotion is asking you to take action
Who's this down there? Look.
or simply inviting you to change your thinking?
Wow, what happened?
You know? So, hold on, I'm sorry. Shonda, I'm gonna mute you, okay?
Okay.
I can't even find where to mute
Let me
you.
see. I'll mute
Oh,
me.
I
I'll
got it.
mute
I
me.
got it. I got it. Thank you. Um, Okay, so if how do you know if the emotion is asking you to take action or is simply inviting you to change your thinking? So I don't think that there's a magic formula for this, but I do think we could be asking better questions. Because emotions, if you think of an emotion as an invitation to become curious, right? Not just to snap and react, right? You want to think about like, what is this emotion really signaling? And we know the emotion is connected to the thought, right? So think of it as an invitation to become curious, not a conclusion to just jump to. So recently I started asking myself, is this emotion I'm having pointing me towards a perspective or position? Is it my perspective or my position? So your perspective is what's happening inside of you. You think a perspective is what you see how you are viewing something. It's your thoughts, your beliefs, the meaning that you're giving to the situation, that story that you keep telling yourself. The position is more on the outside, the environment, the relationships, the boundaries, the circumstances. And sometimes your emotions are inviting you to change your perspective, but sometimes they're inviting you to change your position. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So let's pretend that somebody doesn't return your text. Maybe somebody you care about, and they don't text you back in a timely manner. So the first thought that might pop into your head is like, oh, they're upset with me. Oh, I must have did something wrong, or they probably got an attitude because of blah 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 blah. But let me ask you, did they actually tell you that? Or is your mind just filling in the blanks? Are you basing it off of fact or your assumption? Because the unanswered text is simply the circumstance, but the emotion comes from the story you're telling yourself about the circumstance. So if you're making up things like this person is probably mad, or maybe I didn't text back fast enough, whole time they taking a nap, phone dead, whatever, they're in a meeting, you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So in that moment, your emotion may not be asking you to change your position. It might be telling you that you need to examine your perspective. Ask yourself, is this story true? Is this a fact? Is there another way that I could be looking at this? Because sometimes all that needs to change is that story that you're telling yourself. And sometimes we will tell the same story over and over and over to the point where now we believe it's a fact because we've heard it or created it so many times. So, as a different example, imagine every time that you're around a certain person, you feel drained. Y'all probably got some of these people in y'all life. I know I can't see everybody. I see people, the people I can't see shaking their head, right? You don't feel like yourself when you're around these people. You got to walk on eggshells. You keep compromising your values just to keep the peace. And your emotions might not be asking you to think differently, but they might be asking you to reconsider where you're standing. What is your position? So that's the difference. Perspective asks if there's a better way that you can see this, but the position is asking, is this still where I belong? So you have to be careful because sometimes you'll change your position, but really what you needed to change was your perspective. So a good example of that is we probably all know people, or maybe we've been the people that have maybe relocated to another state or another part of our state. And we say, I'm moving out of town. I'm moving out of state because I just need a fresh start. I just got to start over. Okay, there's nothing wrong with moving,
I feel
obviously,
like you're
right?
trying to call me out.
Nobody's trying to call you out, Devontae. And maybe
Oh,
this is
okay.
a call out. I mean, a hit dog go holler, ain't he? But we it's not about you, but it could be, right? So
Mm.
you like whatever. Okay, because sometimes the move might be exactly what you need. You need to move your position. But if you pack up your belongings, move across the country, and take those exact same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same emotional patterns a few months later, what's gonna happen? You're gonna be like, I should have just stayed in Atlanta. Like it's still the same thing. Because you're still in that same perspective. You changed your position, but you didn't change your perspective. So really nothing changed except your address, right? Your thinking didn't change. But on the other hand, sometimes you keep trying to change your perspective when your emotions are really telling you it's time to change your position. So you might tell yourself, it's not that bad. I could deal with it. He just always like that. But meanwhile, you keep ignoring unhealthy relationships, poor boundaries, toxic work environments, or situations that simply no longer align with the person you're becoming. So sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is change your perspective. And then sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is change your position. The wisdom comes from learning to recognize the difference because self trust grows every time you pause long enough to ask the right question. Not how do I make this feeling go away, but is this emotion inviting me to change my perspective or my position? Because the goal isn't to react to every emotion. The goal is to understand what it's trying to communicate. So I have a couple of examples about the shift of perspective or position from my own life. So I would like you to just, as you
Hey,
listen,
Julie, you got you got somebody with a hand before you move on.
oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, Stephanie, yes, ma'am,
If
please.
Hey, I didn't want you to lose your train of thought. You could go ahead and complete it, and then
No,
I
go
will.
ahead. I have notes. It's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Um, this is my first time on the call. Jalita has invited me every single solitary time, but this is the first Sunday I'm able to make it. So I'm so excited and
So
grateful.
grateful,
So
man.
grateful. Two things. The question that you asked to me was difficult to even answer because I don't know how I would know whether or not it's a call for me to change my position or the other. I do have an example though that I'm very proud of, and it caused me to take a pause. I'm in a family group chat. Like I know we all have several group chats, and I have a family group chat I started, and it consists of my brother and his 6 children, my daughter, myself, and my niece had a baby shower a few months back, and I was driving back from Greensboro, North Carolina, onto Atlanta, and I couldn't make the baby shower, but I had already bought all the gifts, so I left everything at the house, and I'm like, hey, could somebody just grab the bags, and when y'all go to the baby shower, would y'all give them to her for me? And of course, I say in the group chat, have a blessed baby shower, and I'll see you in the next few days. Well, as I'm driving home, there's a text that comes through to the group chat that says, thank you, so and so and so and so for your birthday, for the baby shower gifts. But it was only like 2 out of everybody in the group chat that was being thanked. So my emotions got really pissed off. And I was like, oh, I better be getting a thank you on this group chat because I know my gifts was fire. And I wasn't there, but I was like, I know my stuff got delivered, and I'm just wondering where my thank you is. So as I'm driving, this is the first time, you guys, in my 50 something years of living, that I took a moment as opposed to blasting my niece in the group chat. Because I was thinking if I blast her, which I was getting ready to rip her, honestly, but I took a break and I was like, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't do that. Because, first of all, I thought I was going to be kicked out of my own group chat. That was first.
That's bad.
Second of all, I was like, I'm going to offend somebody. And then it could be a domino effect where people will begin to take sides. And I really was like, this was the first time that I didn't act out in me and my emotions. And then I did make a phone call to my daughter who was at work, and she didn't answer, went straight to voicemail. So that kind of put it back on me to make
Mm.
the decision because I wanted to be like, hey, what you think about this? But yeah, I was really heated. And so for about 30 minutes, I just kept driving towards Atlanta. And I was like, God, what do I do in this situation? Because the old Stephanie, she would have certainly just really went there, right? And so I was so grateful for that extra 30 minutes. And I was grateful that my daughter didn't answer because I didn't say anything. And about 40 minutes in, my oldest niece was like, well, Auntie was the one who gave all those bags of baby clothes like that. So I think
Yeah.
my oldest niece was like, I know she did not thank Auntie, but she didn't thank Auntie. So I think being the oldest, she was like, you better say something to Auntie in this group chat. And so my niece says KK, which is what they do. They put two K's together like okay. So she was just acknowledging what she read, but yet she still didn't say thank you. So now I'm getting even heated like, oh, you done got the, you got the prompt to give a thank you and you still didn't. I continued to drive, y'all. And about an hour in, the text came through and it said, thank you so much, Auntie, for the gifts. They were lovely. And she also said thank you to some other people. And when I got home, I was like, you know, because that was one of the times where I put myself in a dilemma because I could have just ignored it and just waited on the thank you in her time. I got offended. I felt rejected. I felt unappreciated. I felt all of those.
Yeah.
But in the moment of her finally coming through, let me tell y'all that today. So that baby shower was in January. She had the baby in February. It's about to be August. He's about to be 6 months. From that, what I didn't do, which is rip her, because she wasn't even trying to be in the group chat at one point because she got an attitude about something else that was said from somebody. So, do you know my niece calls me, y'all? She calls me all the time on FaceTime so I can see the baby. She checks on me as I was driving back and forth between North Carolina and Atlanta. She reaches out more now than she used to. And I'm like so grateful. So that's just one of the things that I'm saying to me that I made a decision to not react and it was for my benefit. So now that's a part of my posture going forward. That's what I do now all the time. I'm not going to say something emotionally driven like I used to
Yeah.
because this particular result gave me the example to be like, this is a good way to act.
Yes, that pause is to serve you. It really is. And
Right.
you paused a little unintentionally because your daughter didn't answer because you was going, work it out or at least vent to her, get some input feedback, right? But you still could have, after she didn't answer, like, forget it, I'm about to go ham in the group chat. And you chose not to do that. So I think that pausing is what gives us the buffer between a reaction and a response. The response, you're going to put a little thought into it. Reaction is just in the moment and you can't take it back. And those are usually the things you end up apologizing or feeling bad for. So thank you for sharing that. So it's about perspective versus position, right? So I was going to give you guys a couple examples just to see if you understand the difference and these two examples are from my life, and just let me know if you think it's a perspective or a position. So back in the day when I first met Shonda, I was working at this job that I absolutely hated, right? I complained about it. I would yell out like, I hate this effing job, like literally manager right there. I had a horrible attitude. And one day, after months and months of just acting this way, being the angry lady at work, a thought just poured into my mind like, your name is not on this building. Like, you don't own any of this stuff. You're not signing any paychecks, but yet you sitting here angry and hard to work with every day. And I don't know where that thought came from, but that one thought changed everything. The job didn't change, the people didn't change, the work didn't change, but my perspective changed. So I stopped taking things personally. I had more peace. And then shortly after that, somebody called me like, hey, we want to give you a job. I hadn't applied for any job, right? But looking back, if I hadn't changed my perspective, the job would have become more miserable, right? I might have just walked out one day. I probably would have got fired because my attitude was really bad at one point there. But the job became easier because I was able to stop taking things personally because this is not my business. My name is not on this building. I don't have to be here. They don't have to allow me to be here. And it gave me more peace, right? And then shortly after that, like I said, a new opportunity found me. So, was that a change in my position or my perspective? Anybody?
You change your perspective and then change your position.
Okay, I like how you put them both in there. Yes, correct, correct. That was definitely a change in my perspective. Okay, so there's another example. And some people have heard this story before because this is one of my core stories that I like to share. But in my mid 40s, I needed some additional income, so I got a job becoming a food server at a restaurant. Mhm. That was really exciting, guys. It lasted about 5 months. That was the hardest shit I've ever done in my life, okay? Trust me. It was physically demanding. The rude and ungrateful customers and the management made it emotionally demanding. And then I saw how little people tipped after expecting you to do all of this stuff for them, right? And I realized while working there that I don't have to work this hard for money. And I meant it. Like I started visualizing about it because that wasn't it. So the thought kept getting louder and louder. And eventually I quit. I didn't have a secondary income lined up. I just knew I couldn't be there anymore. And the manager asked me, "Why are you quitting?" And I just looked at him just as plain and was like, "Oh, I don't have to work hard for money." And he looked at me like, "Yeah, right. Whatever. Today is my last day." 2 weeks later, an opportunity stumbled into my life. Like I wasn't looking for it. I just got a phone call like, "Hey, somebody needs you. Do you want to work with this person?" So instead of I was making like $20 an hour, working 60 hours a month as a server, hard, intense labor. The new opportunity paid $200 an hour, and I only worked 6 hours a month. And it's still to this day the easiest job that I've ever had. But I had to make a change. You know what I mean? So in that case, I changed my position, right? Even though I didn't have a backup plan, I trusted that it was time for the position to change. Because as long as I stayed in that place, that opportunity didn't have room to find me, you know? So it was just the changing of the position that brought in this opportunity where I'm working 6 hours a month versus 60, making $200 an hour versus $20 an hour. And even after I left, I had such PTSD after working there, y'all. I'm talking about every time I went in the restaurant, I was like, look at the servers. Oh, the servers. Like I was really like I know Stephanie has experience serving, Devontae, just looking at the people that I could see on the call. God bless y'all. I don't know how people continue to do that. Because now when I'm in the restaurant, I always notice how hard the servers are working. Like, how are they carrying 15 glasses on the little thing? I just it's still very, but I'm grateful, for those people because they're choosing to do that. And it gave me a greater appreciation for servers. So tip your servers. As Black people, we have a bad reputation of not tipping these servers. Listen, they deserve it. Don't do that. Somebody got something to say? Oh, okay. All right. I'm just saying that's okay. So
Please
now
tip us because I got a lot of zeros.
yeah, it's just like, why?
Yeah.
I was at dinner with my family one time and these people were running the server like crazy. Like every time she came back, they sent her off. Them people gave that lady a $2 tip. I wanted to fight the little people at the table, but it's just, but I changed my position. So, I just knew that was something that wasn't working for me. So it's like sometimes changing your perspective changes the way you experience your circumstances. Sometimes changing your position changes your circumstances altogether. No one is better than the other, but the key is just learning which ones your emotions are inviting you to change. And that's why I think it's important to take that pause, when you do have those emotions to determine like, do I need to change the way I'm looking at this or do I need to change the circumstance altogether? So let me ask you guys if you can think of a time when changing your perspective changed the way you experienced a situation. Or maybe a time when changing your position changed the direction of your life. It could be a job, a relationship, moving, like we talked about, a friendship, a
I can
boundary.
I can talk about what I'm going through now in real time.
Mm,
As who I was been on this call before, they know everybody know I moved. So I moved to Charlotte or whatever, and I just realized within this last couple of weeks, like I never chose myself. Like as long as I was in Atlanta, I was always trying to do a show, trying to figure out a way to just be creative and just not choosing myself. But like for the last 20, I'm gonna say 25 days, I just solely only thing I've been focusing on is going to the gym and trying to eat better and just trying to just live a healthier life. I take blood pressure medicine that I'm trying to get off of, things like that. And it just kind of hit me like I feel like I had to change my location to really get a clear mindset of these are the things that I need to focus on. But I feel like as long as I was in that, and I'm not going because I didn't really do nothing in Atlanta, but it's just like as long as I was there, it was like okay, there's always something else to do. There's always some type of film project to do. There's always just all of these. But now I was like I don't have no excuse or no distractions. So the biggest thing that I'm focused on now is just my fitness and my health, and then other things as well. But that's like the main focus that I've been focused on. So I feel like I had to change my I didn't have to change my location, but it was easier for me to change my location to get a clearer mind of what I want in my life, even outside of fitness, but just in general.
So you're saying that you changed your position, but you knew your perspective also had to change in order for that position to work out for you,
Yes,
right? Because if you would have taken the
yes,
same,
because I moved to DC,
mm,
and I was gonna say I moved to DC and came right on back to Atlanta because I didn't change my perspective. It was like I still had the same mindset when I went to DC. So now I knew you could change. I already kind of knew like if you're gonna do this, you still got to change your mindset. You can't just change the location
you're
because you're
right.
still you.
Yeah, and if nothing changes, nothing changes. Even if you fill out a change of address card, like you still
Mhm.
bald head. So what's about to happen at the new address? You know what I'm saying? Like not you, but I'm
Nice.
saying in general,
I know. I
you
know.
know. So thank you. Did anybody else want to share an example of changing perspective or position?
Yeah. So I only been a mechanic for like 4 years, 5 years now. So when I started, I had to go to school for it. So, at that time I was hearing, "Well, you too old, boy. School, you too old to be talking about going back to school to learn anything, but you ain't got 5 years left in you."
Damn. You need some new friends, but go ahead.
Yeah. Now that I, not pay that any mind or attention, I left those friends alone because I noticed, as progress became, my mindset, as my perspective changed of how I wanted to view my life, everybody else's perspective of me stayed the same.
Mm,
So when I shifted my perspective on what I wanted to be and what I was already doing, my life changed. Like everything around me became sufficient.
mm, that's big. That's big because a lot of times it's like it's never enough. You know what I mean? You always want more, 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 more. So to use the word sufficient, I think that's a big recognition in the perspective shift. So that's dope. Thank you for sharing that. And it's just a reminder of trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, following those things that you feel led to and aligned with without being distracted by the bald head people in the neighborhood that's like, you too old. You'll never do this. Who can do that at your age or how you look or how big or small you are? So it's all about that internal work every day. It's just little baby steps and taking that pause is one of those baby steps before you react to something. Choose to respond instead. Um so even though everybody's story is different, the process is often the same. Your emotions, your attention, what they're here for. And then you have a choice. Are you going to keep reacting or do you get curious? Are you starting to figure out, like, why am I feeling this? Like, what are the facts? Because your emotions aren't the problem, they're information, they're feedback, they're part of your internal guidance system. And the more often you pause, the more clearly you can recognize what those emotions are trying to communicate. Not every uncomfortable emotion means it's time for you to leave, right? And not every uncomfortable emotion means it's time for you to stay either. Sometimes it's just inviting you to change your perspective. Other times it's inviting you to change your position. So the wisdom comes from learning to recognize the difference. Is it a change in perspective or position? Because once you understand what your emotions are communicating, you can choose to respond instead of react, which I know I keep repeating because there is a difference. A reaction is usually immediate, a response is intentional. A reaction says, I have to do something right now, like I'm about to cuss everybody out in the church group chat, right? But a response says, let me first understand what's happening before I make my response. That's where awareness leads to discernment, and discernment leads to better decisions, and better decisions create a more aligned life. And that's exactly what I'd like for us to practice this week, right? So every week, I want to leave us with a challenge or an experiment to do just to get tapped into your G. And so, first, I want to thank y'all for being open, honest, communicating, and participating in the call, because that's what makes this a community. Is the participation, people sharing and trusting, to share pieces of themselves with the group. Um, Sorry, did I see something pop up? AirPods. Okay, my bad. Hopefully, y'all can still hear me. Um. So hopefully, after we talked about this tonight, you can maybe look at your emotions a little differently, like not as a problem to fight, but it's guidance to help you understand, right? Because your emotions aren't here to control you. They are not here to control you. They're here to communicate with you. And the more you can learn to listen, the more that you can learn to trust yourself, right? So does anybody I'm sorry, hold on. It's just about thinking about I'm trying to think about the experiment because I didn't really go into the details, but it's more kind of like last week where if you have once you identify an emotion, now you try to determine what thought is causing this emotion. In this case, it would be more of does it is it a position or a perspective that needs to be changed? And Paige, go ahead. You have your hand up.
Yes, because I'm using my book. And
Okay,
so
that's
look,
a
because
cute journal.
I've been writing in. I know I love this little book. I've been writing in it, but I wanted to write down what you said, and so that I make sure I had it down correctly. You said choosing to respond rather than to react leads to awareness and discernment, which creates a more aligned life. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate you taking notes. So, does anybody else have anything they want to offer, share? Some of you weren't here earlier when I was asking if there's any subject or thing that you might want me to bring to one of the Zoom calls as a topic, you know. Again, it's usually something to do with gratitude, emotion, or elevation, but that covers everything, really, to be honest. It's just all about tapping into that higher part of yourself and becoming aware of what's going on, paying attention to the emotions, being grateful, and getting aligned so you can start creating the things that you want instead of complaining about the things you don't want. Because either way, whatever you're focusing on, you're calling that thing in. Something making you angry and you focusing on the anger, you're going to continue to get things showing up to piss you off. But if you can be grateful and happy and just take things a little easier, you'll find that you get more scenario situations, people that show up that are aligned with the things that you want. And it feels good having those things and people around. So yeah. But if nobody has anything else, I would like everybody to take their phone off of mute and on the count of three, if everybody could say, happy birthday, Mike Ross. That would be great. One, it's Mike Ross. Don't hang up, Mike. One, two, three.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
man,
Mike
Mike.
Mike Ross.
Birthday, Micah.
Mike Ross.
He better unmute and say something to Mike.
There we go. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that a great deal.
Make it a great day.
Make it a great day.
That's what he always says. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for joining. I really appreciate this. Please
Thank you
share,
for
tell
having
a
us.
friend. Yes, and then also as a reminder, my website, you can watch the Zoom replay links. You can get the calendar, where you add the Zoom to your calendar so you get reminders. There is some other social media platforms you can follow me, and I post almost every day. So I appreciate y'all, and just always remember to be happy, be grateful, and be you. And thank you so much for joining.
Thank
G, what
you.
is the website before you go so I can make sure I sign up for the Zoom calls because I don't want to miss.
It's in the chat, raiseyourenergy.com. I pinned it in the chat, so you should be able to grab it from there. But it is
We don't see it. It's
It's
not on
not
that
there?
G.
Yeah, I don't see
We're
it.
not. It's not on mine.
Okay, let's put it in here again real quick, guys. Oh, that's not even what it was. How come my little pin message is not showing? It's a pin for everyone.
Oh.
Okay, do y'all see it now?
No.
Yes, you do see it.
I don't.
Just
Okay,
make it.
there we go. Oh well.
I know. I
Oh,
just
okay. I see it now. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, so there's add to calendar where once you do that, it'll just pop up, as a reminder, just like any other meeting. And like I said, there's what else is on there? You can join the Zoom from there. You can watch the replay of the previous week's Zoom. And then there's some social media links and some other information on there as well. But add to calendar will get you on this. And then stay connected is to get on the email list. And I do send out maybe one nice email a week, something about gratitude. And then I do a replay reminder and just some reminders to the call. So thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Stephanie, thank you
Good
for
job,
coming.
G.
Look at Lauren.
Yes, thank you for inviting me, Devontae. I really appreciate. Look, I really enjoyed this, and I just want to let you know I have been using my book. I probably need to get another one because I'm
Yes,
about full.
everyone. In case you didn't know, that is a Raise Your Energy journal that Paige is holding in her hand.
Yes, and I do use it faithfully. Okay.
I love that. Thank you so much. Y'all, please share, tell a friend. We're here every Sunday, like I said, and I really look forward to building this community and helping people really tap into their G and make some more, what's the word I want to look for? Intentional choices to align with the life that you really want. So
Thank you.
thanks, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to get me another.